Hello, everyone. So, my name is Ali Ijaz, and I would be presenting Pakistan as the country for the media analysis assignment. Pakistan is a country situated in Southeast Asia, and it has Afghanistan on the west and India on the east and China to the north and the Arabian Sea to the south. Pakistan is an Islamic republic, and it is the world's fifth most populous country, with a population that exceeds over 225 million people, and it's the second world's largest Muslim population. And Pakistan is also the 33rd largest country, and it spans an area which is over 880,000 square kilometers. So the political system in Pakistan is basically it's a nation state and it has a constitutional democracy. And Pakistan is, as I said, it's a democratic parliamentary republic, and it has a multi-party system, and it has elections after every 4 years, and it is a federal parliamentary republic. Talking about the economic system of Pakistan, the Pakistan currency is the rupee, and the gross domestic product is $263.7 billion, and the GDP per capita is $1,193, which isn't a very good amount because we are a third world country in regards to our economy. So the agriculture economy of Pakistan is the backbone of the economy. Pakistan is one of the largest exporters of cotton and wheat and also rice. And Pakistan is also a large exporter of finished fabrics and denim, and at the same time there's a big industry of sports, making footballs, making all sorts of sports equipment. And the FIFA World Cup football was also made in Pakistan. And there's a big industry of surgical instruments that are made in Pakistan, and a lot of leather goods and textiles are made in Pakistan as well. So more or less, it's a developing country with a semi-industrial economy. And as I mentioned before, the exported commodities include textiles, leather goods, sports goods, surgical instruments, chemicals, and carpets. Pakistan has a mixed economy with a combination of free market activity and government intervention. But Pakistan faces a lot of problems as well, economic problems as well, which are caused by increasing population, which is hampering the growth of the economy, and corruption is a major problem which drains the economy and dents it. And at the same time, security issues and instability in the past couple of decades has really harmed the economic viability and economic well-being of Pakistan. So some of the growing sectors are the IT sector, the automobile industry, and the textile sector. These are sectors which are growing at a very fast pace in these current times, and they're bringing in a lot of revenue, and they're generating a lot of jobs, and helping improve the economy of Pakistan. As you could see, the textile sector contributes more than 60% of the country's total exports, and they amount to $5.2 billion. And coming to the culture of Pakistan, Pakistan has a very vibrant and and diverse culture, and this has to do with the multitude of languages spoken across the country, the multitude of ethnicities that Pakistan has, and because of that, Pakistan has a very rich culture and traditions and music, and there are over 24 local languages that are spoken within Pakistan, and but two official languages of Pakistan are English and Urdu. These are the official languages spoken across Pakistan. And as I mentioned before, that Pakistan has a really rich history, and because of that history, we have a lot of monuments, ancient civilizations, and a lot of archaeological treasures that are in Pakistan, and UNESCO has declared over 6 to 7 sites as World Heritage Sites within Pakistan. So, thanks to its historical, geographical, and ethnic diversity, Pakistan's culture is a melting pot of Indian, Persian, Afghan, Central Asian, South Asian, and Western Asian influences. There are over 15 major ethnic groups in Pakistan, and because of that, there's a rich variety of customs, dress, food, and music. And some of these languages, some of the major languages spoken are Punjabi, Sindhi, Balochi, and Pashto. Other than that, because of the over 5,000 year history, there is a lot of archaeological sites and tourist potential within Pakistan. Right, and as I was saying, this tourist potential has been used for public diplomacy as well by the government, which I will be talking about later on. So the media system in Pakistan is very vibrant, and we have a state media called the Pakistan Television, and it is the state-owned terrestrial television, and Radio Pakistan is the state-owned radio broadcaster. The private media is very active and very diverse, with channels in most of the local languages. Over 106 private satellite TV channels are operating within Pakistan, with over 257 FM radio stations as well. So, the media landscape at a glance. Pakistan has a vibrant media landscape amongst the most dynamic and outspoken in South Asia. To a large extent, the media enjoys freedom of expression. More than 89 television channels beam soaps, music programs, films, satire, political talk shows, and news of the hour. Although sometimes it is criticized for being very unprofessional and politically biased, the television channels have made great contribution to the media landscape and to the Pakistani society as well. This is a glance of the number of different types of channels that we have in Pakistan, ranging from health to sports to education, etc. And the government media policy is to promote and nurture Pakistani culture and cultural diversity by countering the cultural onslaught from all across the world through traditional and digital media. So that's like the official government policy. And to implement that policy, they have a media watchdog called PEMRA. And PEMRA is the Pakistan Electronic Media Regulatory Authority. And it issues licenses and monitors channels, and it has been criticized for censorship at times and banning of channels as well. So, coming to public diplomacy efforts, I am going to give you 2 examples of successful public diplomacy efforts by the government, and The first example is the Billion Tree Tsunami. It was a tree plantation drive to boost the image of Pakistan locally and internationally. And then we have the case of international vloggers and the use of social media to promote tourism and the positive image of Pakistan across the world. So I'm going to talk more about these two examples in detail. So coming to the Billion Tree Tsunami. So the Billion Tree Tsunami was a government initiative to plant over 1 billion trees across the country, and the project was initiated by the present ruling government, and the plantation drives, it planted over. The drive ended up planting more than 132 million new saplings, and 153 million saplings were distributed among the public. And this created new jobs, it benefited the environment, and increased the tree cover of Pakistan, which right now we in Pakistan do not have a lot of forests. It's only less than 3% of the land cover, which is very less. So the Billion Tree Tsunami has really helped, and it's really going to help benefit the health, the economy, tourism, and biodiversity in Pakistan. So Billion Tree Tsunami has been acknowledged by the WWF, and this project makes Pakistan to be one of the countries that have successfully complemented the Bond Challenge. So the Billion Tree Tsunami objectives were that it was to improve the overall conservation of existing protected areas and encourage ecotourism, community engagement, and job creation through conservation. So those were the objectives of the government when they started this particular initiative. But they also used this particular project to do some public diplomacy, and it ended up well, as we would see. So the Billion Tree Tsunami won the Bond Challenge, and because of that, it got a lot of international media attention as well. And that Pakistan needed badly, because Pakistan has had really bad press for the past many years because of our challenges related to our neighbors. There's a war going on in Afghanistan, and because of that there was terrorism in Pakistan, and a lot of negative media attention was directed towards Pakistan, and it got a lot of international bad press because of that, because of insecurity and terrorism related news. So this was a break that the Pakistan government needed for image building, and as you could see, this news was picked up by DWTV, UNESCO, UN, and CNN, and many others picked this up. The Bond Challenge was a global effort to bring 150 million hectares of the world's deforested and degraded land into restoration by 2020. And one of the provinces of Pakistan was the first subnational entity to register with the Bond Challenge for the restoration of forest in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, which was the name of that province. And it was the first entity in the world. That province was the first in the world to complete the challenge, and that too in half the planned time. So this made a lot of headlines, and the government at that time really rode this wave, as you could see with many of its advertisements, which were broadcasted locally. And so the public diplomacy really helped them garner public support locally and internationally as well. So as I was mentioning, there was a lot of international media coverage and projection, and the independent Voice of America, Reuters, Al Jazeera, all these news agencies really put this on their front pages, and they really helped boost the image of Pakistan as a country that cared about the environment and that was contributing something positive to the world. So the results of the Billion Tree Tsunami was that the hashtag Billion Tree Tsunami trended for a very long time, and it was used to attract international media attention and gave Pakistan a positive international press and media coverage, helped shape the image of the country that as a country that cares about the environment and it is contributing to fight global climate change, and it helped, as I mentioned before, disassociate with the negative news often associated with Pakistan. And this was a well thought out public diplomacy initiative that improved the government's image domestically and internationally. Right. So coming to the second example of a successful public diplomacy campaign, I am going to be talking about the use of social media and international video loggers in Pakistan. So as you can see, Pakistan recently had an influx of international video loggers with millions of followers. There were YouTubers and Instagrammers traveling across the world, and many of them were invited by the government of Pakistan and facilitated by the government of Pakistan to come to Pakistan. And some of these people had like millions of followers, like Drew Brzezinski, who had 2.1 million YouTube subscribers, and he also came to Pakistan, and that gave Pakistan a lot of positive media publicity, and it put Pakistan on the map. And these guys have millions and millions of followers, and they gained a lot of international attention, and they put Pakistan in the spotlight. Similarly, Rosie Gabrielle, she's a Canadian Instagrammer and YouTuber, and she solo motorcycled across the country, and she quickly gained hundreds of thousands of followers within Pakistan and gained more followers internationally as well because of her trip. So because of all these YouTubers and Instagrammers and video loggers, professional video loggers who came to Pakistan and created content, it really helped Pakistan in its image building. So Forbes magazine basically picked up Pakistan as one of the best countries to travel to, the top 10 destinations under the radar in 2020. And that gave a big boost to the image of Pakistan as well. So at least in part because of the influx of YouTubers and Instagrammers, last year Forbes listed Pakistan as one of its top 10 under the radar holiday destinations for 2020, while a French magazine, Condé Nast Traveler, ranked Pakistan number one overall. Right? So under the Prime Minister Imran Khan's government, they have actually encouraged this trend and enthusiastically are promoting tourism, which they believe is not only going to help Pakistan economically, but it's going to help us promote a positive image as well. And at least in part because of the influx of YouTubers, last year, as Forbes listed Pakistan as one of the top 10 under the radar holiday destinations, which I have mentioned before. Anyways, so from that we could see that Pakistan has a huge potential to to make effective use of cultural diplomacy to build strong ties with the rest of the world and harness the mutual benefits gained from it. And the country's image over the years was dented by international media, which focused on corruption, insecurity, terrorism, and the Afghan refugee issues. And the internet as a tool for cultural exchange and encouraging international tourism was used, so the internet was basically used as a tool to basically highlight Pakistan's strengths to the world. So basically, this is yet another tangible step towards the positive nation branding, and this has really helped, and the Pakistani government, make its image better. So the international vloggers flocking to Pakistan, facilitated and supported by the government of Pakistan. So this was an active, so the government actively encouraged these people to come, and this had a ripple effect. So the Pakistani government really didn't have a public diplomacy policy as such. So in January 2020, the Prime Minister of Pakistan formed new divisions to implement public and information policy, which included hiring media staff within the country and abroad. So this was like a concentrated, systematic effort to basically develop a proper public diplomacy wing within the government, which was lacking. And there was a new strategic communications division, a new branch of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, which was created to adopt public diplomacy in specific areas. And the permanent representative of Pakistan to the United Nations in New York, London, Berlin, Beijing, and Manama subsequently set up diplomatic programs to promote public diplomacy of the country. So this is another great example of public diplomacy in action. This is the Pakistani pavilion at the World Expo in Dubai, and they put in a lot of effort to basically make the Pakistani pavilion attractive and eye-catching, and it succeeded. This particular design was made by one of the leading artists in Pakistan, and because of this, this became the most visited pavilion within the expo, with over 100,000 visitors that came to visit this pavilion within 18 days. And it became one of the greatest show at the expo, and really helped in the public diplomacy efforts by the government. So, in conclusion, the public diplomacy efforts paid off well. They have helped boost trade, tourism, international cooperation, and the soft image of Pakistan. So, that's it for my presentation. I hoped it was informative and you enjoyed it. Thank you.